Let's talk about the war on terror before we finish. You've said that we need to distinguish between different types of Muslim terrorists or extremists. Yes. You said recently, quote, terrorists are not one large mass of people who have the same background, the same religious precepts, one single goal. And yet it's the Israeli government, your former boss, Prime Minister Netanyahu, who has led the way in conflating Israel's different Muslim enemies, shall we call them. He conflates Arafat and bin Laden, he has done in the past. He's conflated ISIL, the so-called Islamic State, with the Islamic Republic of Iran. Isn't that a pretty disingenuous tactic to treat them all the same?
I do not subscribe to the way Netanyahu describes terrorism. I believe that there are varied types of terrorism. I believe, as I said, that there are certain groups in the terrorist world with which we should have a dialogue. I do not believe that Islam is not solely a religion of death and of martyrdom.
That's very generous
of 72 virgins who are waiting for the martyr. I have here a book which I have produced of an Israeli professor, which details items in the Quran which support peace. This is a publication which originally came out in Hebrew. It's in English, and I took the initiative to publish it in Arabic. And it's available all over the world, and you can see it on the net. I don't believe that all the groups who are fighting us or who are our enemies are of the same cloth.
Earlier this year, the Prime Minister and the Israeli government got very upset with Ban Ki-moon, the UN Secretary General, basically accusing him of being an apologist for terrorism after he simply pointed out that history teaches us that occupations, foreign occupations, tend to provoke violent resistance. Do you think Ban Ki-moon said anything wrong? Was he not stating the obvious when it comes to the cycle of violence, when it comes to the relationship between a military occupation and a violent resistance?
I think this was a knee-jerk reaction to a statement of the Secretary General. I think it was probably politically motivated.
But just deal with the actual...
I personally would have avoided such a statement.
But deal with the substance of the statement. Do you believe there is an obvious relationship between Israel's military presence in the West Bank, its occupation, which you don't want to call an occupation, and the violence that we see from some Palestinians?
Unfortunately, yes. I think one has to admit that since we are in control of the West Bank, and since there is no political movement to move the situation in the West Bank to somewhere else and to give it a different either status or whatever you like to call it, I think one should expect, unfortunately, that there will be people who think that they have to rise up and who have to fight against it. And that's why I believe that we always have to offer our enemies alternatives to violence. And I think we have not been all that good in doing so.